Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and I've got an exciting broadcast for you today. Now, through the years, I have a lot of credentials. I've been a top performing manager, a record breaking F&I manager, general sales manager, multiple locations. I put some big stores on the map. But you know what? I never was a general manager, and I certainly was never a dealer. And people say, well, Jim, why didn't you buy your own dealership? Why were you not a general manager? I was a great general sales manager, and like I say, I was a record-breaking F&I director, but I never was a general manager. And through the years, people have asked me that question. Well, the truth of the matter is, the reason I was never a general manager is because I had no interest or comprehension of fixed operations. I wasn't afraid of the service department. And, I understand that a service department generates major revenue, and in tough times, you better have a lot of service absorption. You better be there. But I understood that. And I always said in my speeches and in my consultancies that if I were a dealer principal, I would cover my weakness. And my weakness is fixed operations. I don't know enough about it, but I would hire the experts. And long before I met Rob Gehring, I was saying that. I've said it in a number of speeches, a number of keynotes, a number of consulting projects. If I were a dealer or a general manager, I would cover my weakness. I would admit my weakness, and my weakness is fixed operations. 99% of general managers or dealers came up through sales. They did not come up through service. And that brings me to my guest today, Rob Gehring, President, CEO, founder of Fixed Performance. Hello, big guy.
How in the world are you? And man, that's well said. Because in good times and bad times, the dealer with the best fixed stops wins.
No doubt. No doubt whatsoever. So you've got this company, Fixed Performance. You are the counterpart to what I've done for 35 years. I've traveled, I've been in 49 states, more than 1,000 dealerships. I've actually physically worked. I've never made it to Alaska so far, but 49 out of the 50, I have worked with customers. I've caught ups. I've taken TOs. I've penciled deals. I've done finance. And I've consulted many of the most successful dealers in history. And I've always told the dealer, cover your weakness. What do you do?
Well, that is brilliant. Cover your weakness. And to me, if you look at the service department and just that little nick of the business, and you ask yourself, what are we doing that helps the customer? See, so many times people focus on the dollars per RO, the hours sold per repair order. And really, there's so much opportunity in that. A lot of our clients get seven-figure improvements just through service.
Wait a second, seven digits.
Seven
That's
figure.
that's $1 million at least.
Yeah.
I'm a high school graduate now. Don't mess with me. I mean, but still, in all, I can comprehend if you are showing your clients seven-digit improvements. I mean, can you back that up? I mean, is that real? Or you just pulling
Well,
numbers out of your? Are you
let's
pulling
take,
numbers? Wait a minute. Are you pulling those numbers out of your anatomy? I mean,
oh,
where do those numbers come from?
all right, let's do a little math together. I'm pretty decent at math.
Oh,
But
wait a minute. Wait. You're gonna get analytical on me now.
no,
Okay, I'm not analytical. People
no.
tell me they're analytical. What's the first four letters of the word analytical? Yeah. Okay.
But if you have, let's say, 1,000 vehicles coming through your shop, and
Is that
the average
realistic?
the average vehicle's 11 years old. That's hard to imagine. 11 years old.
The average vehicle is 11 years old coming through the service department.
Well, now in this is a national stat. It's not just car dealers, it's a national stat.
Okay, you didn't make that number up.
No.
No,
So
okay.
if the vehicle's 11 years old, how old is that battery? Now, what happens, Jim, is when people come into the service department, they usually get processed like cattle. Oh, what brings you in today? Oh, you're here for your oil change. Sign here, sit there. Do you need a ride? Goodbye. Next. And we don't take the time to prepare for the visit, to understand what their needs are, and truly desire to help them.
Are you training people to do that?
Yes. So when you have a visit and no one has even looked at the history of what that vehicle has had done to it, and you just processing them, you're not even going to the car. Imagine what you're missing. I just was reading a newsletter I
Now,
wrote two
now, now,
years
now,
ago.
now back up. You're passing subjects too fast for me. You
Okay,
say you say most dealerships they never go to the consumer's car with them.
correct.
I mean, what's that all about?
It's typical and common.
They're processing people so fast that they're not thinking like a sales department thinks how to maximize the profitability in this deal.
Yes, correct. So if you have vehicles come through and the battery's 4 years old, typically a battery might last 5 years. But if
Okay,
it's
okay, Pep Boys is going to get that deal.
yeah, so if you don't ask them for it, hey, your battery's getting near the end of its useful life. Our clients, we like to recommend they replace that before failure. It never fails at a convenient time. So you're going to have a tow bill. It's going to go to the repair shop. They're going to have to diagnose it, charge you to diagnose it, and you're going to have 400 bucks in the battery that you could have had 100 and a half in and not been inconvenienced at all.
This is why this is why Jiffy Lube is winning. I mean, it blows my mind that Jiffy Lube you can walk up without an appointment and have your car fully serviced, but you make an appointment with a dealer and you're there for 3 hours.
Yes, and they sell stuff. One time my wife's Cadillac was due for an oil change, and she said, "Are you going to be in a Cadillac dealer anywhere close? I got to get my oil changed." I looked at my schedule, said, "No, I don't have anything close for Cadillac. Take it to Jiffy Lube or your Quick Lube locally and get it done." And she comes back. This was many years ago. She comes back with $110 invoice. And I go, well, how did they get you to $110? Well, the filters they said needed replaced, the air filter and the cabin air filter. And they asked me if I wanted a good oil change, a better oil change, or the best.
They had a menu.
They had a menu.
Amazing. Now, see, this is Valvoline, Jiffy Lube, any of the
Yes.
ancillary outside sources. I've got to admit, I use them. I have to admit, I use them, and I use them because I haven't got 4 hours for the. I go to the Ford dealership, and the sign says, "This is such bullcrap. Quick lube."
Yes.
Ain't nothing quick about a quick lube at a dealership.
Well, it should be, though. If you look at it and you bringing up your weakness, when I was fixed ops director, I'd have two people call every customer. And if they didn't answer 5 questions 100%, I personally called them for a number of years. You can imagine. At first, I was making a lot of calls, but I listened to them. And the most common thing was, why did it take me an hour and a half for my oil change? When you talk about it being a half hour, it took too long. No one updated me. I sat there. Finally, I gave up. I'll never go back. But I said, well, what happened? I'd look at the repair order, look at the time. And so we get backed up on the lube rack. We wouldn't pass any work off. We'd leave them wait. They didn't have the parts close by. So we inventoried the filters close to them. We started understanding what we were doing wrong in scheduling. And when they started getting backed up, we sent it to other techs. We didn't leave them all. Because if you don't, you're backed up all day and you've ticked off every customer.
Hey, Rob, I'm getting some comments on the sidebar here. How can people get in touch with you?
The website is www.fixedperformance.com. Or, Jim, I'm that kind of guy. Give him my cell number,
Your cell
419.
number.
Heck
I
yes.
saw it on your website.
Heck yes. It's on there too. It is.
What is it?
419
Okay, hang on. I'm a slow typer. 419
282
282
1351.
351.
Yeah, just call me.
Give me a second here. Let me see if I got this correctly. Does that look like it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that up for a couple minutes so people can call you or text you on that number and get a response.
Absolutely. I answer the phone unless I'm in a meeting or something, and I always return calls.
But you're not a one man show. I was looking at your website and I've talked to you about several occasions. Tell me about your staff. I
We've
mean,
got,
are you the only expert? I mean, a lot of people have a guy or a woman that is the lead star expert, and then they've got a bunch of okay. Tell me about tell me about your staff.
we have an incredible team, and we employ, I was shocked the payroll numbers are strong too, by the way, but you got to pay good people well.
Whoa, you got to pay good people well. What a concept that is.
Yes, and we have 14 across the country, really crossing the coasts. So we have Washington State and Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New York, and I need to add more.
You're
We got,
consulting body shop. You're consulting parts departments. You're consulting the entire fixed operation. And what I saw on your website, you've got specialists on your staff for each of the categories of service.
yes, and we've got some people that have been involved with dealer audits. So
Whoa, come on now.
yeah, so when the manufacturer, we had a client, we were getting him more money from the manufacturer, which is one of the favorite things I think we do, is we get huge amounts of money for dealers on warranty repairs under state law. Now, every state in the country has laws that force the manufacturer pay you retail pricing on warranty. Well, we go after them and we get that money for the dealers. And that's a great joy. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars,
So,
typically.
when you say you can improve a dealership $1 million, that's or more, and that's pretty typical. That the conversations I've had with you, you're saying that's not the unusual. That's the typical.
That is. And you have to have understanding. The main thrust that makes us unique is we don't want any pressure involved. It isn't similar to what you might coach and overcoming objections and things like that. Here's the mission. Every time, every car, what does that vehicle need to be safe and reliable? That's it. If and you might say that sounds too easy.
It does. I mean, it sounds so simplistic. Everybody's already doing that, right?
No. Uh-uh. No.
Well, come on.
Here's the truth. I talk about it as a quality of life experience. Now, I've never met an advisor, I've never met a service manager or anyone we've trained that says, I love abuse. When people yell at me, I get a kick out of it. So yell and scream, I enjoy it. So if we can teach them how to have happier customers and spend more money with you and buy their next car from you, that send their family and friends in to the service department with trust and respect and integrity. That's what it's all about.
I went to a Valvoline, getting back to that subject just a little bit. I went to a Valvoline place and I use synthetic oil. I'm one of those $100 plus per visit customers. And like I say, I'm driving, this year's model Lincoln. So, and I always drive a pretty recently, 2 or 3 years of current model. And I went to the Valvoline place, and the guy did the work, and he upsold me a couple items, and he said, Mr. Ziegler, do you have a cell phone? I said, of course I do. Big shot. He said, will you pull up the Valvoline place's website? Will you pull up our website? And I'm sitting there. He's walking me through. He said, now there's a place on the sidebar there where you can give us a review. and before I left, I'd given him a 5-star review right there. I mean, he not only upsold me, but he guided me through the reputation.
Yeah, and so when these cars come in to the service area, if you don't recommend it, and any advisor or person that's been in service, they'll know, man, he's telling the truth. That's the way I roll. But if you don't recommend something and it breaks within the next 6 months, they're angry. Oh, you low-life SOB. I just had my car in there 6 months ago and you didn't tell me the battery was ready to fail. I'm going to want that battery free, the car detailed out, and I still might kick your butt. Or do you want this one? Hey, Rob, doggone it, you told me that battery that was getting near the end of its useful life, it's getting towed in there. Would you put that battery in there you told me about? Did I decline anything else? Which car do you
Exactly.
want? Which car do you want?
Right now in Congress, they are really pushing the Right to Repair Act. And the Right to Repair Act is going to greatly affect dealers when private entities can start collecting for warranty repairs. I mean, we better be better than we used to be.
You're exactly right. And always be asking, how do we get better? Not where we are today. How do we get better? And so we employ 14 across the country, and I'm looking for more. And thankfully, I've never had a problem finding good people. Do
So
you know
you're
why?
hiring expertise right now.
Yes.
Okay.
And the
And
reason the
you're
reason they
paying
want it,
top dollar too. I already
yes.
I was amazed at what you're paying for your experts. If you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Yeah, you know, that's a fact. I've
But
always had a theory that you hire the best people and pay them too much.
yes, we and never limit what they can earn. So when we're being creative and we're looking at this and we get down into the nuts and bolts of it, then you have to ask yourself, all right, the car comes in, we just want to tell them what they need. Is that tough?
So a lot of your focus is training the service advisors, making more consultant sales happen there. And do most dealerships have enough service advisors at key peak times?
No.
No, that's the other thing I've noticed that they're understaffed and overworked during
Yes.
peak hours.
Yes. And when you look at that and you say, why is that? The dealer, the general manager might view it as an expense or a cost. Really, it's a benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a benefit. But when you care for the customer and the mission is how do we maximize that visit? How are we better than the competition? That's where the people come in and they send their family, they send their friends because it's a unique, uncommon experience. We
Very
have to be
good.
better.
Let me ask you a question. I mean, we're talking about being better, and I don't, I don't distrust your credentials at all. How'd you get into this?
Oh man, that's a story. I really, it took me 10 years before I would publicly share that story. But I was 30 days away from being married, and my wife's a State Farm agent until the end of this year. We went to Bermuda. She invited me. So we were in the Fairmont five-star hotel in Bermuda, and I go, let's go to the bar and get one of those little drinks with an umbrella in it.
Okay.
She saw a trail going up on this hill overlooking the ocean called the Honeymoon Trail. Well, she talked me into going up there and doing that. And I fell stepping on one of their sidewalk stones about 25 feet down and literally shredded my knee, my left knee.
Okay. Good slip and fall lawyer there.
Shredded the knee. So I
Oh
had to come
no.
back to surgery and told my dealer that I'd need a couple days a week, couple hours each time to physical therapy after the surgery. And he goes, well, I don't want you to go to surgery thinking you have a job. And he let me go right there.
Really?
Let me go right there. And so
Mm.
I called my fiance, Christy, and said, hey, baby, if you don't want to marry me, I understand. I don't know. I had a 5-acre ranch in the country and 2 vehicles. And I said, I'd
Did
understand.
she marry you?
She married me.
Oh my gosh.
She said, you'll figure something out.
Bad knee and out of work. I mean,
So my first clients, I was on crutches, literally on crutches. And I'd ask them, do you have any family or friends that could benefit from what I do? And they'd send me around. And I totally built the company from the ground up on referrals.
amazing. What I've done my entire career. I started out as a consultant. I no longer work for dealerships because the last couple of jobs I had, I left because of pay plan adjustments. They weren't going to pay me what I was making. They wanted to adjust the pay scale backwards, and I came home one day and said, "Hey, I'm going to be a consultant." She said, "You're going to do what?" I said, "Well, I'm going to consult car dealers on how to be a profitable in their variable operations." And she said, "Well, who else is doing this?" I said, "Nobody. I'm creating an industry." Yeah. So you became a consultant and you started working, and now you've got this mammoth staff. You're a very successful company, and dealers need to cover their weakness. What do you do? Okay, I just hired Fixed Performance. I'm a mid-market dealer. I'm not metropolitan dealer, but I'm a suburban dealer. I'm certainly not a rural dealer. I'm selling about 120 units a month. And I said, look, I need to really pump up my service department. I'm gonna call Rob Gehring. What happens next?
Well, I know this may seem anal, but we would look at 2 years financial data month by month, input them into what we lovingly refer to as T12 charts. Even before we arrive,
Okay, so
we
you're
review
studying the financials of the dealership. You're looking. What are you looking for?
literally anything fixed ops. So gross profit margins, if the margins are low, if the intake processes are bad, what are the trends? Are the counts going higher? Are they going lower? What's the gross profit? What about the expenses? How are we using hourly techs? Literally, no stone unturned. Fixed
Okay.
ops, we're in it. We look at parts departments. How much old inventory do you have? See, so many times, even when the tech comes to the parts department, they ask for a part. Oh, we don't have that. Okay, well, go get me one. Well, then they have to put the vehicle back together, give it to the customer, wait for the part, and then bring the customer back in, disassemble it.
We don't have the part. I mean, okay. So we got a lot of aged inventory in the parts department, obsolete inventory, maybe.
Yes.
And the dealer's not aware of that, and the parts director certainly is going to say, "Look, I'm a dumbass. you know,
And normally they don't even track what the techs are asking for. So we implement programs. We might spend in that dealer 3 days on site. After we get this all set, we come on site for 3 days. We work with every advisor one on one. We work with service parts and body shop managers. We look at their costs, how to control shop expenses that are in their control, increase gross, look at shop policy and procedures. How do you schedule appointments? We literally don't leave a stone unturned. But our staff that does this grew up in it. That we have like this the youthful people only have 20, 25 years of doing it.
the youthful people."
Yeah. Well, to me, they're
Okay.
youthful. But we look at literally every stone. And then while we're on site, we fix it. We go through it and we make the adjustments. We even talk to techs. We have a luncheon for techs and we coach them on how to make a good living at what they do.
Holy cow! I mean, so what I'm getting is you are not faced with a mutiny when you go in there. You're getting cooperation out of the managers and employees that are there.
Yes, because we don't beat anybody up. We're not there to throw them under the bus. We're there to help. And truthfully, one of the failures of this industry is that you throw someone in a position in a deal. You're the service manager. All right, well, how do I do that? Or then the dealer will be at a 20 group and come back and say, your gross profit margin's too low. Fix it. All right, well, how? So then they get angry at each other and nothing happens. We go in and make some adjustments, fine tune some things, look at processes, procedures, best practice. No gas, no smoke, no mirrors. Here's the best practice. And really, isn't that a choice that has to be made? Do it. Are you going to implement best practice? Do you want to improve your quality of life? I've never had people say no.
How much of this is classroom type training? I mean, what are you doing with say the service advisors? There's got to be a major cultural change. I mean, is this going to involve some time in a classroom setting with actual instruction?
One on one on service
One on
advisors,
one.
one on one for about an hour and a half. And we spend time with them where they live in the drive lane.
So wait a minute, wait. You're actually working with them. I mean, you're not just telling them. Because a lot of people say this guy's a consultant because he can't do it.
That's an interesting point. I once had a client, this guy told me he couldn't get over 1.1 hours per customer pay repair order in his market. And I said, you know what? I haven't been an advisor for a while. I'm going to, at no charge to your dealer, come up and I'll just be a consultant advisor and see how I do. See if I can only get 1.1. Well, my first day there, I went up and did this, Jim. My first day there, he came out and he told this customer that obviously had a transmission concern. The family's on vacation and a hot summer day, and he's kicking him out. I'm too busy. I can't help you. I said, ma'am, would you show me where your vehicle's at? I walked out with her. He was kicking her out the door, Jim.
Kicking her out the door because
You're too busy.
too busy. Oh, yeah,
We can't
we're
get to
too
you.
busy for a paying customer with a major job.
Yeah, customer pay. So
Customer pay. Yeah.
I went out to the vehicle and spent about 20 minutes with her. I fixed her up a rental van from across the street. I had her authorize $3,000 for our initial repair, sold some maintenance that she needed at the same time, and brought her in telling her, we can't get you in for a couple days, but here's a rental van. Get your family stuff on the rental van. Get going down the road. We'll get you in here and get this done.
That's the same story I hear in the variable operations when I go in dealerships. Well, Mr. Ziegler, you can't do that here. People here are different.
Yes,
We're different here. That might work in some other market. Our market people are aliens. They don't act like. I'll usually say, well, get off the desk. Let me sit down. Let me sit down and I will show you. And but that was what made me successful as a consultant with some of the biggest dealerships in the country is I would kick their managers off the desk and I would do their job. Yes, and I'm hearing the same thing from you right now.
yes. So when we go in and we work with people that are new in management, they're new in the advisor role, and then we take the sales pressure away from them and say, it's just as easy. Look, every time, every car, what does it need? And just tell them, inform and educate the customer of what their needs are. They'll make the right choice.
I have no service expertise whatsoever, but I consulted Ford dealers for years. I was consulting the minority program, and so I was consulting new dealers basically. And I was in El Dorado, Arkansas, of all places, and we put an ad in the paper, and the headline was just absolutely free. I mean, big letters, absolutely free. And the newspaper was the advertising source in the '90s, and it was no come-ons, no gimmicks, absolutely free. Free oil change of filter for any Ford product up to 5 quarts, plus a 30-point mechanical inspection of your automobile. And the 30-point mechanical inspection was absolutely, I can't tell you how many hours they upsold with a 30-point mechanical inspection.
And you know what else happens when you don't go to that customer vehicle and walk around it? Then they're saying, you damaged my car.
Oh,
Well, the dealer has to either call him a liar or fix it. And do you ever think it's going to match in the sun perfectly, or it's going to always bother him? Why would
never,
you not walk around the car,
never going to be right. You are 100% correct.
walk around that vehicle, look for
Yeah, part of
damage?
what you're training is a walk around on every vehicle every time. I mean, I heard you say that a minute ago. Every vehicle every time.
Same process and no shortcuts. It doesn't matter if someone's sick today, someone's on vacation. You got to have it standard practice. But when a customer comes in, here's how they're going to be treated here. And when that happens, you can call it magic, whatever. The customer satisfaction index goes up, they spend more money, and they come back.
How many clients do you have right now?
I just in doing I would say around 100 active right now that we're doing something for.
And what's your longevity with a client?
I've had clients 14 years out of that.
People always say to me, Ziegler, yeah, how do you know so many dealers? And I'm going back like, do you know that dealer? Know that dealer? Hell, I know his father. Or her father. I mean, it's amazing. The longevity of a good consulting corporation.
And one thing too in this that I take great joy in personally, when you have transition, father sells to son or daughter, if they understand fixed ops and they get that behind them from someone like myself or our company, then they can transition with a load of comfort that is going to be successful. If fixed absorption's at 80 or 100%, they don't have to sell that many cars, and they can make a good living even when the new car sales are struggling.
When new car sales are struggling, the average car on the road is coming in your service department at 11 years. I mean, every car they have, they're going to need to either fix it or trade it sooner or later. The cars are not eternal.
No, and fact is, no one wants their car to break down.
Mm.
No one wants their car to break down. So when we tell them what it needs, it sticks in their brain, even if they don't get it done that same day. They will get it. It'll come back up in their thoughts. And there's so many times they'll come back at a later visit when they have a couple paychecks later and say, gosh, that differential service you told me about, could I get that done today? I'd like to schedule that. That's the kind of customer relationships that are developed the next car sale.
Are you using any video?
We don't use a lot of video. We just would rather that be individually done. So I don't have a lot of video, and uh, we do feel that working just side by side with them is far more effective. And then
I'm
understanding,
sort of like talking about communicating with the consumer about a repair.
we have some of the chemical companies like have videos that say, here's what a differential service looks like, here's why to do it, here's the benefit, but we don't have video.
You're teaching them to one-on-one communicate with the consumer.
Yes, and understand what they're selling.
I was
And
sort of going there.
and really, if you look at the technicians and you look at the parts departments and you start adding all this, if you add, we just had for a dealer, we got $30 more an hour on warranty repairs. So we increased $30 an hour
Increase.
increase on warranty. What's that do for the dealer? We've doubled their gross
How
on.
many cars are we talking about?
See, that could be $250,000 on its own. It's amazing. But I do take great joy. I've had people ask me if I was on the Detroit hit list. Are they are they
Because you're
look
increasing the warranties. Oh, unbelievable.
and I was like, you know what? I never thought of that. I hope not. But we do embrace the dealer and their needs. This one Hyundai dealer got caught in a warranty audit. $500,000 was going to be billed back to him, and he was freaking. Now Hyundai said, we're going to be kind. We're just in a good mood right now. We're only going to bill you $250,000 because we like you.
Because we're in a great frame of mind. Okay.
And this guy was freaking in a conversation with me. What do I do? Calling attorneys? And I go, well, it just so happens one of the people on my staff was a factory auditor. He's got a ton of experience. Why don't I hook him in? I'm not going to leave you alone. We don't do that. We don't offer that service. I'm going to do it for you. And we got that knocked. We looked at 1,400 repair orders, RO by RO,
One at a time.
spreadsheets, what they thought, what we rebutted every one of them, got that reduced for the dealer down to 50 grand.
Down from 250,000.
Really half, but yeah, a quarter of what they were going to be kind to him. And so from a quarter million to 50 grand.
If I was a dealer watching this broadcast right now, I'd already be on the phone texting you. I know you can't take a call while we're doing a live broadcast, but I'd already be texting you right now. I'd already be saying, Rob, what can you do for my dealership? I mean, so if I'm a GM or a dealer and service is my weakness, which if you came out of sales, it probably is. you know,
I remember one of my first clients, you asked about the age of clients. This one guy, one of my first multi store clients, I got into one store, he brought me in there. This was when I was just me and an office manager. But I went in there and spent 3 days, and they doubled their customer pay in 3 days, doubled customer pay in 3 days. And Tex met with the parts, Tex, and then so the dealer calls me up in his office, and he looks at me and he goes, "Are you telling me I've been trying to change this for 20 years, and you've been here for 3 days, and you're telling me you made an impact in 3 days that I've been trying to change for 20 years?" And I looked him in the eyes and I said, "That's exactly what I'm telling you. This is all I do. I changed in 3 days, which if you've been trying for 20 years, yes." So I got a call about a week later, and it was like, "Okay, we need this in every store. Roll it out."
every store in a multi franchise group.
Yes.
I
And
love
they,
it. I mean, what you're doing is, I didn't realize when you and I agreed to do this broadcast, I had no concept that what you did so much mirrors what I've done in variable, almost item for item, the way that I improved the variable departments. You're doing the same exact formula. It just, I'm just coming to that realization right now. It's going, whoa, this, Rob and I have a lot more in common. Usually the sales department and the service department don't get along. I mean, especially the techs and the salespeople. I mean, one thing I know for a fact is there's a pickup truck in back of every dealership right now. And in that pickup truck, in the bed of that pickup truck, is a beer cooler. And at 5 o'clock, all the techs are going out to that pickup truck and they're going to bitch about the salespeople. Every dealership. you know, every, one thing I've always done is try to get the techs and the salespeople together. I always said that a service director, service manager needs to take every new salesperson and introduce them to every tech. And the tech tell them the qualifications, what machine. This gentleman operates the four-wheel Hunter laser alignment machine. He does this. He's got 22 years experience. I mean, I want them to go through it and let people know what the techs do.
and another thing is they spent even just a half a day as an advisor and a half a day in the parts department to get an idea of what these people go through.
Now, who are you doing that? Is that the salespeople? Who's doing
Yeah,
that? Okay, you're
let
taking the
them.
salespeople and letting them spend a half a day as a service advisor. Now, I'm going to tell you what, some of those salespeople will outsell your existing service advisors.
Well, I run into a lot of salespeople that get pushed back into service as an advisor. But it isn't it amazing that so many times we're just not recommending what their needs are. It's in
That's
sales
what
and
that's what
service.
I'm getting at. I'm uninformed. I don't know the service business, but I'm thinking this: the service advisor's got to be a sales position. They got to have personality. They've got to have persuasive skills. They've got to be able to relate to the consumers. And some of these consumers are not happy people. You know, when you're dealing with somebody that comes in hostile, and you're going to service manager especially deals with the hostile customers. You know, there's got to be a people skills in there to turn that around.
Yes. And for me, I've had advisors and techs that they look at me a little funny because I'm in the drive lane touching wiper blades. Oh my goodness, you got a bad wiper blade on the rear of this thing. And they don't tell anybody. Yeah, put them on for me.
Did you not see the streaks and the gouges in the windshield? What
And
did
the
you miss?
rubber peeling off the end of it.
What part of that did you, I can imagine that I could sell wiper blades to 60, 70, 80% of the consumers on the drive. I mean, I could sell wiper blades. My gosh.
And then for me, it bothers me. It really bothers me to see that typical average across this country doesn't tell the customer what they need.
They never saw the car. They didn't walk around the car with the consumer.
They didn't look at the maintenance history or the mileage, prep for a visit. Are there safety recalls on this?
Valvoline does.
And
Valvoline
they,
can tell
and
me,
they pay by the hour very low wages. And some of these advisors,
Valvoline can tell me exactly what I need. They know the maintenance schedule of my vehicle. They've got it all right down, and they upsell all the time.
yes,
I mean, they'll show you a dirty air filter in a heartbeat.
they're not afraid to hear no.
Yeah.
But to me, it doesn't matter. So I don't care if they buy it. I really don't care if the customer buys it. Now that sounds funky, but it's true. But it's like fingernails on a chalkboard, Jim, that real irritating noise, if they don't know what their needs are. Yeah,
Exactly.
if they don't know what their needs are, then that bothers me like I can't even explain. So it's simple. There's nothing complicated. I'm not creating something that's unusual, illegal, immoral, or fattening. It's just best practice. Best practice. What does
So
that vehicle need?
best practice, we're training the service advisors. We're inspecting the parts inventory. We're looking at warranty. We got body shop consultants. What does a body shop consultant do, for heaven's sake?
That's funny. One of the things I do is negotiate paint contracts.
Oh,
So
come on. That doesn't even occur to me. I'm a general manager. Paint contracts, quit it.
yes,
You're,
so
you're not negotiating uniform contracts and stuff, are you?
no, but I look at their bills and and I'm like, I was at a little Honda store, 8 techs, not that long ago, first visit, and I'm like, do you realize you spend 62 grand with Cintas on throw down rugs and dust mops and oil mats and such? Why
That
would
doesn't
you
even occur to me. Say that again, Rob. They spend how much on
62
what?
grand on non-uniform
60 grand on what?
non-uniform items like these little rugs? They come in every week and they throw 50 of them all over the dealership, and
Uh-huh.
most of the times those aren't even stepped on. So I'm like, why would you not buy these for $5 a piece or whatever it is instead of renting it for $5 a week? They'll go into
The economics of the service department are starting to occur to me right now, just talking to you. And I've got, I'm the best there is in variable. I mean, I'll take on all comers, but I don't know anything about what you're talking about. And there are people watching this broadcast that have that sales mentality that don't even consider the things you're talking about.
and paint contracts, a little thing like that sits in the corner. No
Body
one else
shop
knows.
paint contracts. Tell me about it.
So I negotiate those with the paint vendors for the dealer. I look at the contract. If that's a good deal, I tell them you have done well. But if it's some dealers, they show me one, and I'm like, That's only 15%. I, I can do better than that. You deserve better than that. So we go to bat, and I just got one at 52%. So this guy spends 2.5 million a year uh, uh, in paint and materials, and he just saved 10%. So my fee pays out very quick. But they don't know what a good contract is, what a good agreement is. So we
Well,
get involved.
that's something I do. I mean, you know, I see the vendors that dealers hire for variable operations. I mean, the lead providers, the different vendors, and I know for a fact the website providers. I know for a fact that one of my dealers right across the street is paying half of what you are for the same company, and that's the advantage of fixed performance. Your company, you know what other dealers are paying.
Well, a pitcher, so it's a great privilege. You know this apparently too. So we're in so many dealers. From the outside looking in, when we're traveling around, we can say, hey, I was at this dealer and saw this best practice, and share that information we've gained over 30 years, 35 years. It's amazing how quickly that makes a difference.
So, like I say, if I was a general manager or a dealer principal and I'm watching this broadcast, I'd already be texting you at the number on the screen right now. I wouldn't even wait to get off till you can physically pick up the phone when this broadcast is over. I'd call you right now. I'd already be standing in line, standing on my head to get to you.
And I thank you for that. But I'll tell you, it is amazing to me. We don't advertise, we have no advertising. We
Well,
just,
you're advertising right now.
but okay, fair enough. But
Yeah.
from referrals and just doing it well for many years, uh, we're growing. It's like sound hand sanitizer a year ago. So I mean, we're busy. We're very busy, but we're going to continue to staff up because the love and the mission we have is just to help as many dealers as possible do better.
Exactly. I mean, I am so pleased that you and I met, and it was just by chance. And all of a sudden, I'm getting this whole vision of what's going on in the parts and service division. Just blows my mind. You know, floor mats. Who would have thought to audit the price of floor mats? Come on.
Okay, so in the restrooms, they got those little streams of chemicals that go into the urinal, and they're charging $10 a week. Like, go to Walmart and get a little thing and put it in
Yeah,
there, and that
okay, so
lasts 6 months.
you're paying $10 a week for blue water in the urinal. Come on. I mean, nobody pays any attention to that. I mean,
Yes,
they're looking for bigger items, but you know. So anyway, Fixed Performance is the company. The website is
fixedperformance.com.
okay, very simple, fixedperformance.com. And if they're like me, I climbed over your website before this broadcast. I did that. And I saw that you have the cell numbers of all your key people right on the website, not just yourself, but all your key consultants. I mean, and every one of them had a specialty. Every one of them lists their bios and every one of them listed their qualifications.
It's an amazing crew. I'm very proud of them.
But they listed their bios. You know, I have conquered so many of my competitors by just pointing out number one, you never were a manager yourself, and number two, I'm the only national consultant with a published resume. People can find out where I worked and check me out. They can't do that with most of my competitors. you know, yeah, and your website, every one of your key people, their bios, their cell phone, what they can do for you. I mean, you have laid it all out there. You have the most transparent website I have ever seen as far as what services, what qualifications, what we do for you. Here's Here's our references. I mean, everything is on your website. Somebody wants to know about you, check you out. I mean, it's right there. I mean, there's no hidden smoke and mirrors here. You've got it all on the website.
Yeah,
Fixed.
and I've had people say, "Is that your real number?" Or they'll call me up and I'll answer my cell phone and they'll go, "Is this Rob?"
Is
Yes,
this
it's
really
Rob.
you? I get the same thing. Jimmy, did you pick up your own phone? Yeah, I've been doing that for 35 years. I never walked into a speech from the back of the stage. I come through the audience every time.
Well, one thing I'll say for sure, Jim, I'm excited that you and I are partnering together, and I am telling you, we're going to have some fun.
We're going to have some fun. Now, this video has a handful of viewers live, but the replays on this thing go through the roof. We're going to be on LinkedIn. We're going to be on all these different Facebook locations, including my private groups. So, there's going to be a lot of exposure here, and I am definitely excited because I've never featured fixed operations in the past. This is Star Trek, New Frontiers.
Well, we'll have some fun with it. I'm sure of that.
Fantastic. Well, we're getting toward the end of our hour together. What have we not talked about that you would like to tell people about fixed performance, Rob Gehring, anything, you know, the fact that you like beef jerky?
Well, gosh, anything hot. But I would say this: there's no one that understands totally better than our team, Fixed Ops. It's where we lived, we grew up. I don't claim to know sales at all. Don't want to really. I think that
Leave that to me.
we focused in on our little niche in the world, and it's not a common one. We don't have a lot of people that feel the same way we do, and not oversimplifying it. But if I can chat with you and help you, there's no charge in that. And if we can share some stories together, there's no charge in that. We don't feel we do anything but help the dealer. And when we do that, the money follows that. When the mission is just to help, the money follows that. I live with that.
Fantastic. Well, listen, this has been just an incredible experience for me because, like I say, I'm in uncharted waters here. I, I studied your website strictly so I didn't ask stupid questions.
There
Yeah.
is no stupid question.
Yeah. But what I found out about you today and your company and the way you operate was so much similar to the way I operate on the variable side. I've always gotten the results, and obviously you do. Just
Yes.
it's just amazing. I'm looking at the two halves of the equation here. We got variable on the left and fixed on the right.
And when you combine the two, you've got a wonderful operation.
Well, the last thing I'll say is this is Rob Gehring from Fixed Performance, fixedperformance.com. If you're like me and you're a general manager or dealer principal or decision maker in the dealership and you came up through the sales operation, admit it. You don't do your best job and you don't have your best knowledge on the fixed operations side of things. This is the guy to hire. Call him right now because, like me, you need to cover your weakness. And I've always said that. I've always believed it. Let's say goodbye to the folks, guy.
Nice meeting everybody. We'll see you later, Jim.